The fact that you're still here with us after all of that is a testament to how strong your body really was. I know that you really got to a very depleted and delicate state, and climbing out of it has been quite the process. I remember working with a woman with Lyme who we really got her from such debilitating, she couldn't get out of bed, she couldn't leave the house. It was really frustrating. She was just completely disabled as a result of this. And we did get her out of the house, and we did have windows of days and weeks and even months of feeling functional. It wasn't perfect. I'm not saying it was perfect, but then we lose sight of how far we've come.
Yeah.
And there was frustration, but unfortunately, there's. I wish there was more I can say that it would be a faster resolve, because it could take years for you to really feel like you've got a handle on it.
Right.
And so I felt really pretty terrible saying to her, we've come so far and it's not perfect. And it was continuing to be a journey.
Yeah. And that's sometimes I think to myself, and I would say this to even when I worked with people back in New York City in mental health clinics and in addiction, just think how long it took you to get to this point, to develop the intensity of the feelings that you have and the level of pain you're feeling. It took time to get there. It wasn't like it was like suddenly you became aware of this. It was just over time. So take some time to undo and unwind and untangle, because we are complex beings.
And we're constantly adapting to life, daily life. So it's your challenges, but you also have to navigate daily life.
Yep.
And life happens and things come up, and it is quite complex. But that's what's fascinating about it, because unfortunately, the other side of the coin with the a more alternative or holistic approach is that it does take time, but on top of that, it takes consistency and compliance. It's not going to work if you're randomly taking something and then stopping, because as we talked about, the neuroendocrine system, just like eating food, you need to over time you eat certain nutrients and they accumulate in the system. Some you have to have every day.
Right.
The same thing with herbs, and it takes time to accumulate these compounds in the body. And so people who are a little more random, unfortunately, it isn't going to work the way that we would like it to. So in addition to time, it takes consistency, it takes compliance, and it's a commitment. It is. I mean, it's not forever. There are things that we can work with. We sort it out, and then I don't see the person because we fixed it and it's done, and we don't need to take anything anymore. That's the goal. I mean, the goal is not to take something forever. Right. The goal is to give the body what it needs and get to the cause of it, not just your symptoms.
Right.
So, because otherwise you're just chasing the dragon. Otherwise, if you're just treating symptoms, you're not. You will have to take something long term.
Right. I
don't want to take something long term. I mean, people say, "Do you take your own herbs?" I said, "Yes, I do. When I need them. If I need something every day, then I will." But ultimately, you want to find out why. Why is this going on? And get to the cause of it. Sometimes we do work, like you went to your osteopath. Sometimes we do go to the medical community because we do need to have the testing. You don't want to guess.
Right.
Sometimes you need the testing, see what's going on, and then you explore your options. So going to the doctor doesn't mean that you have to take a particular course of care, but you do need to find out what's going on sometimes. And those blood tests are helpful. The scans can be helpful. I always encourage people to get testing done when it's prudent, when we need to know. We don't want to just, oh, you're having these symptoms, but we really need to know what's going on in there.
Of course, it's the blueprint.
Some things are straightforward. I just had an article published on a blog for eczema, and I've seen numerous individuals I've worked with. We resolve the eczema, and it's done, and I haven't seen them because the eczema's gone, and that's a wonderful thing. However, there are people who have environmental allergies, and so that's a more chronic challenge, if you will. And so, ultimately, I want to get to the cause of it. I don't want them to have this extreme allergy to what's in the environment. Will I cure that allergy? We might make headway, we might not, and we might need that long-term support.
And that's
but
okay.
And that's the way it goes. But then there are other people which suffered for 20 years with eczema on their eyelids, and now it's gone, and I haven't seen them in a while. So
that's amazing. We love that.
I know, it's the best, and that really is the most fulfilling. But I've been really smitten, if you will, by the Sherlock Holmes, the new Sherlock Holmes series on PBS. And it's all about the detective work to get to the source of evil, if you will. I know I'm going to sound really nerdy now.
No, I love it. I love it. Keep going.
I'm a PBS nerd. I love it. And but I really find relatability with what I do in exploring these things, because people expect to just talk about body functions, and then when I go into everything else, and we're talking for the longest time, but it's fascinating to me to open up the clues. And like we talked about, some things are beyond my scope of practice. Psychotherapy is one of those things, and I had a minor in it my first round of college, but that's a little different than actually working with people. Yeah. So I have enough understanding with this to know that we need each other to support each other, and it takes a village.
It certainly does. Takes a village and a whole boatload of compassion and love and gentleness, and just not judgment, not to look at ourselves with judgment, and not to take on what any doctor may stick us with necessarily, and own that. It's a little dangerous, all those diagnoses and labels, which are really just clusters of symptoms anyway. So much of it, multiple sclerosis in particular. I have so many of those symptoms that technically, I guess you could say I had multiple sclerosis, but it's and I have issues going on in my brain, and it's a cluster of symptoms that I have, and I don't anticipate that I will always have them. But if some doctor told me that, I might have believed him, if I had that diagnosis before the Lyme, which I was headed towards that. So
you have people that have spinal cord injuries, and then they've been told they'll never walk, and what an inspiration when you see their pure will to walk again.
Right.
The human spirit is truly an admirable, incredible entity, and that's why it's important not to become a diagnosis. Unfortunately, people do want to give something a name, because there are conditions that are a collection of symptoms. They're not necessarily a diagnosis, but they're a common collection of symptoms. For example, IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, or fibromyalgia. They are a collection of symptoms. They don't present the same in every person. So just like the Lyme disease, they can present some symptoms but other people present with other symptoms.
Right.
With regard to chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, there is actually a viral component. We know that Epstein-Barr virus is a component of this. And so, it's people like to have a name just to give it an identity, to wrap their head around what these symptoms are, and maybe an approach to dealing with it.
Yeah.
But I like to try not to dwell on that and focus on what are our options and what are the symptoms, but what's causing those symptoms.
Right. Seek the healing, not the label. Seek the healing, not the diagnosis. We so want that to know, but it doesn't, that's not where the healing is necessarily. There's a little bit of initial relief, and it does guide treatment somewhat. So we are grateful for that and for the blood work. It has its place. It's when we become a little too entrenched with it, a little too identified with it, that we begin to not be able to see outside of it, and then we can't fully heal. And Dr. Sadeghi talks about this. He says how we talk about, I'll believe it when I see it, the healing, but he says in a reality where everything is relative, it's really, you only see it when you believe it. We won't see the results until we believe that we will have the results.
And sometimes that is an immense leap of faith for someone who really feels pretty darn crummy.
Right. So just to know that we can have those mental shifts and these micro movements we can do with ourselves every day to just shift our energy around can be so beneficial, and we can do so much on our own that we don't realize. But I would really love can you share with us, how could our viewers reach you?
Well, I work by phone,
right,
as well. I don't often work by Skype because of the medical privacy regulations. Not quite certain that having a third party on video and having it recorded, I'm not quite certain. So I work primarily by phone. Even people locally to my apothecary often have very busy lives, and even the half an hour to drive can be a challenge to coordinate. So I opened up to the phone consult in 2010, and it was the best decision because I couldn't keep flying back and forth to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford that anymore. But it has, there's really no difference in between the consultation, because I can ask the same questions. Most people already have seen the doctor and have diagnoses and have blood work and testing that they can provide me copies with. And I have not seen any difference between the effectiveness of people who come in to see me here and who I relate with on the phone. The emotions come through. I know it seems kind of bizarre that through electronic media we can actually sense somebody's pain and what people are going through and the symptoms, but it's been the best decision ever. So FedEx and U.S. Postal are my friends, and we take the consultation by phone, and then I formulate here. I don't know if you can see.
There you go.
Behind me. We compound here, formulate and compound, and package it up and send it off. And it's been working like a charm. Yeah. So there's really no difference with time and space between.
I agree. And that's how we connected. We've never been in person yet, but there's definitely a connection. Despite...
Well, you left New York just as
we met.
Yeah. But but Los Angeles feels like a second home to me now after
Yeah.
monthly trips over a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really an experience, and I enjoy it out there, and I love my people out there on the West Coast. So I keep West Coast hours.
Right.
To accommodate the time zone, and I've never been a morning person.
Me neither.
So Tami doesn't do mornings very well.
Good. Thank you for the disclaimer.
And yeah, so I keep West Coast hours, and that's why it really has been a charm to open up to working by phone, and yeah, so it also feels good to be grounded. So for me, not to be so scattered and away from here really has helped a lot in my own quality of care.
Right.
I used to do some work that required me to travel on the road a lot, and I found that I thought it would work together, but what I found was I needed to ground myself and have more of a sense of peace and calm. So we all have our journeys, if you will. And I realized that I was not good for anyone else if I couldn't find my own ability to navigate and adapt. And that's why I don't want to say balance, but to find my own balance, if you will. And so it was quite a decision, because I loved the people that I got to see when I was moving around a lot, but the quality of care really has been so much better now that I can focus and immerse myself here, and I can really get a sense of what somebody's dealing with. And it's a combination of research, because medications are constantly changing. Scientific research is always evolving. And so I really explore the whole person's background, and if they have to take a medication, to really learn the pharmacology, the pharmacokinetics, learn what the effect is in the body, and how I can support that, whether it's working with it, whether it's helping them to wean off of it, whatever their goals are. That is my ultimate end result, is that there's no judgment. If somebody prefers to take the medication, and most of the time I'm very supportive if it's necessary, but there's no judgment whether they want to come off of it, whether they want to stay on it. My goal is to assist the individual with wherever they're at in their journey. Some people are not ready to change things too dramatically. They just might want a little support in certain parts of their experience and their symptoms and their well-being.
Right. So
there's no judgment, and I welcome talking with somebody's physician. I look forward to coordinating care and being that coordinating bridge, if you will.
I love your openness and your flexibility, and just the warmth comes through, and you're so knowledgeable, and I just want to thank you so much for everything you share. And I just want to let our viewers know that you will be back. We have so much more to talk about, and just different topics, and I could talk to you all night, but I just want to thank you again for joining us. And could you let us know exactly where they can find you?
Yes. Well, my website is sundancewellness.com. My phone number is 908-915-1998. I like people to get to know not just the practice side of me, but the personal side, because I believe that it's about personal connection, and it should go both ways. Yeah. So I actually have an About Me page that has all of my links.
I love it.
I should probably make a blog post about it, but it's on my Facebook page too. I don't know how exactly to list it here, but it's an HTTP with the semicolon and all of the letters and stuff.
Yeah, I'll list your links down below the video so people will see it. So you're all good. Just in terms of your website, and so they can access you and just get all the goodness that you will provide. I'm so thankful. Thank you.
Thank you. I really, and I get to meet so many interesting people, and I appreciate your really opening up this opportunity to talk about it. This is my first adventure into the new century of video Skype calling.
Well, you're doing great. You're doing great.
I don't know about that, but there's a first for everything.
Well, thank you so much for being here tonight, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Jamie.
Okay.